Welcome to the Art of Simple Hypnosis with Rob de Groof. Rob's goal is to keep hypnosis simple and uncomplicated, fast, powerful, and effective techniques. In this show, Rob talks with leaders of the hypnosis industry on how to keep hypnosis simple and effective on the therapeutic side as well as on the business side. Enjoy, learn, and by all means, keep it simple.
So, Sean, welcome to the Art of Simple Hypnosis. This show is all about how to keep hypnosis simple, as simple as possible with the most effective results. But of course, we can learn about our mistakes that we made in the past. I'm sure I learned a lot of all the different mistakes I made, especially on business side. But what was the biggest mistake that you ever made and that you don't want others to make?
In the beginning, when I first opened my hypnosis practice, I was a huge fan of regression, age regression. And I was doing a lot of weight loss, and I would always try and find if there was an event in the past that was causing the bad relationship that my client had with food and exercise. And so one time I had a client who I guess knew a little bit from the lady that recommended her, knew a little bit about hypnosis and about regression, and she was frightened of it. And so when she came into my office, she said, what are we going to do this session? And I said, I'm going to hypnotize you, and I'm going to give you suggestions for exercise and proper eating. And she said, and nothing else? And I said, no, nothing else. So it was pretty obvious to me that she knew about the age regression and she didn't want to do it. And the second time she came to me, she said, what are we going to do today? And I said, well, we're going to do what we did last week. And nothing else? Nothing else. Well, the third time she came in, she did not ask the question. And so I did an age regression with her, and she hated it. She was very, very upset with me, and I don't blame her. It was obvious to me that she did not want to do the age regression. I did because I felt it was the best thing for her, because she wasn't losing the weight. And that to me said that there was some underlying issue that was keeping us from being successful. But anyway, I knew that my client did not want to be regressed, and I did it anyway. And she was very, very angry with me, and rightfully so. So the mistake that I made that I would not want another hypnotist to do is that if you believe that your client doesn't want to do an age regression, do not force an age regression. But the other thing is that if you're doing well with direct suggestion, you needn't really do an age regression. I look at it almost from a medical standpoint. When you go to your doctor and you say, oh, I have a pain here. Well, the first thing he does is not to operate on you. Okay. Yeah. First, they'll maybe try and change your diet or your exercise, or maybe they'll give you some medication or something like that. And the operation, which is the most invasive, save that for last if the other things don't work. And so that's my advice, and that's a big mistake I made, and I don't want others to repeat that mistake.
Yeah, as you know, I'm not a big fan of age regression myself. It's because of my mentor, of course, Jeffrey Stevens. Yeah. He even said age regression or going back to the course is actually like a crime. I'm not that much against regression, but I know that you, in the beginning you were a big fan, but now you don't use regression that much anymore. You don't use it as the go-to thing first thing to do. So you go first to the keep it simple, and then when it's actually needed, when there is no other solution, when the direct hypnosis is not doing its job, what is possible, of course, then you go to a gear higher and then go to age regression.
Yep. That's a fair assessment.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So, what was for you the best decision you ever made for your hypnosis business? Whether it's your hypnotherapy business or your entertainment that you're doing, street hypnosis, show hypnosis.
I think the thing that made me a much better hypnotist was getting involved in street hypnosis, because it made me a strong hypnotist. It made me fearless. And you know, it's interesting because people who do stage hypnosis quite often, and some people who have not done stage hypnosis don't realize this, but a lot of these stage hypnotists out there are not real confident. They will go to a show, not you, you've done it a lot, but they will go to a show and they'll think to themselves, oh gosh, I hope I can get these people in hypnosis. Well, because I did street hypnosis and I practiced hypnotizing strangers, I know I'm going to hypnotize people. So now I can concentrate on what I think is the most difficult part of stage hypnosis, and that is being a good entertainer. And I'm still working on that part. But as far as, am I going to get this person hypnotized? Of course I am.
So yeah, street hypnosis is for me. It's I think when I teach my out of the blue hypnosis training, I used to call it street hypnosis training. But then again, a lot of people, they were just, oh, but I'm not interested in doing street hypnosis. So it's not useful for me to do that training. So now I call it out of the blue hypnosis, because I think it's necessary that every hypnotist is able to hypnotize anyone at any circumstances, everywhere, wherever they are, when there are noises, not noises, when it's silence, when there are a lot of people around. So I think every hypnotherapist will gain quality in the therapy room by going out there and just hypnotize people in pubs or on streets and just out of the blue. I think that's really good. That's how I learned it actually. Before, because I was in the beginning, I was only interested in entertainment because of my background. But and I went out and hypnotized people, and that's how the confidence is growing. I think that's very, very good advice. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just kind of nice, as you say, they should be able to do hypnosis anywhere, anytime. And I mean, many hypnotists, it's a challenge for them if they're at a party or a family gathering and someone says, hey, can you show me something? Well, they can't.
No.
but the ones that have done, as you say, out of the blue or street hypnosis, they can do a good demonstration, and it's fun.
Yeah, and I think it's even when you do like a talk for a service club or whatever gathering, and you can talk about 2 hours on hypnosis and tell very interesting stories, and people will find it really interesting. But when you can do even a 5-minute good demonstration, that will stick in their mind, and that is because the stories, after like 2 hours, they have a drink at a bar, they are already gone. But when you have somebody, just a quick induction, and you don't have to go to hallucinations and amnesia, just have them stick their hand on their head, people will talk about that because they don't see it every day. So I think
exactly.
Doing a good demonstration is so important. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the way to promote your practice.
Yeah, and then they will remember you even like 2 years later when they have a problem. They say, "Oh, I saw that hypnotist over there. Do you know he stuck that guy's hand to his head?" And they're never gonna remember whatever you explained about the subconscious mind or the conscious mind, but do the demonstration. Yeah. I think that's really good advice to everybody watching. So. What is the best advice that you can give our viewers on keeping hypnosis simple?
I would say settle on one induction and use that induction. I mean, I'm partial to the Dave Ellman induction. I think that it's perfect. But if you want to keep hypnosis simple, in the office in particular, learn one induction. I prefer the Dave Ellman induction, and do it all the time. And you learn, if you use several different inductions, then you'll get pretty good with each one. But if you stick to one induction and do it over and over again, you're going to get really, really good at that induction, and you'll be able to move it, change it according to what your reaction of your client is. But I'd say settle on one induction for the clinic and use that one exclusively.
Yeah, and I think the Dave Ellman induction is a really it's a good induction with all in the tests that are in there, and I think it's also a very low key induction because when I do my basic training with people, the first day I learn them the hand drop induction, and then on the second day I learn them the Dave Ellman induction, and then they're like, oh, but this is so much, because the hand drop induction is, yeah, it's quite full on, of course, when it's the first, but that's the reason why I teach them the hand drop first and then the Dave Ellman, because otherwise they would say, oh no, but this is easier. So now they already know the more full on, and then they learn the Dave Ellman, and then they say, yeah, this is something, and a lot of people, and I always tell them, just go for the induction that you feel best with, and practice that induction until you master that induction, because that's, yeah, of course, it's really important. And I think Dave Ellman induction is indeed a very good one, because it has everything. It has deepeners in it, it has the fractionation in it, it has everything in one induction, so they will learn a lot by using that, and then sticking to that one, especially for hypnotherapy. I think that's yeah, also very good advice. So the topic that you choose to talk about is getting deep trances. So what is the advice that you want to give our viewers on getting deep trances?
Okay, well, my feelings on this have changed in the past year and a half. And so now, first of all, I'll say that the depth of trance, in my experience, there does not tend to be a direct correlation between depth of trance and the ability to make a change. In other words, and the way I found this is when I was working with all those ladies for weight loss, and I had some of the ladies went very, very deep in trance, deeper than the others, but they didn't necessarily lose very much weight. And some of them, I knew they were in a very light state, but they did very, very well. So the depth of trance didn't seem to correlate with the amount of weight lost. All right. But I like depth of trance, particularly if I'm doing a show or street hypnosis. But I like depth of trance in the clinic too. I mean, I feel as though I might as well get as deep a trance as I can. All right. So recently I've been doing experiments, and what I have a limited amount of time to work with the person, but I want to get really good depth. So what I've been doing is I've been doing the Dave Ellman induction, and then I've been rolling into the deepener that Dave Ellman used for the Esdale state. And the way that works is, and if anybody's listening to this in the car, stop listening to it in the car. But anyway, so you've done your induction, and maybe you do a 10 down to 1 deepener, and then I'll say you're in a nice relaxing state, but there's a state that's even deeper than this and feels even better, and I'd like to show you how to reach it. Let's imagine there are 3 levels below where you are now: level A, level B, and level C. And then I talk them through going down to level A, which is doubling the relaxation, going down to level B, doubling the relaxation. And then I talk them all the way down into level C to what I call their basement of relaxation. Now, this is something that we've used to achieve the Esdale state, or the hypnotic coma, which is extremely useful for medical things like, for instance, anesthesia. It's a very deep state, and my feelings on the Esdale state have evolved too, because I don't know if you've ever, well, yeah, I mean, you're familiar with this. I mean, you know how sometimes you get the catalepsy of the arms and the legs when they're in Esdale state. I found that when I do this with non-hypnotists who do not know what to expect, you almost never get the catalepsy.
Because you don't suggest it.
Yes, and it's supposed to happen automatically, but why is it almost never happening with these non-hypnotists who have never seen a demonstration of the Esdale state? So my concept of the Esdale state is also evolving right now. But anyway, so if I want to get very, very deep trance, I'll do Dave Ellman induction, a 10 down to 1 deepener, and then I'll use Ellman's Esdale state deepener. And then I'm going to go ahead and do whatever, do the entertainment part or the demonstration or the or even the therapy. And then another thing that I wanted to mention is that with this deep trance, I'm still getting people accepting the suggestions. They're still taking them, whereas hypnotic lore was that people in the Esdale state won't take suggestions. They don't want to hear the hypnotist. But now I'm seeing that maybe that might not be true either. Maybe Esdale state is fine for doing hypnotherapy. So anyway, so that's the way I achieve deep trance.
So you just mentioned that you are using this like pattern, Dave Ellman induction, then the 10 to 1 or 10 down deepener, and then the Dave Ellman Esdale deepener with the A, B, and C. But you mentioned that you're using that also for entertainment. So you do it for a show as well with the same Esdale deepener.
No.
So in group, no.
No, I don't do it with a show because, as you know, sometimes you don't want them to be too darn deep because then they just sit there like a
they just don't do anything. I had it in a few shows, so that's why I asked the question, because sometimes they just go too deep and they're just sitting there and they just don't do any skits. You say, okay, now jump and dance, and they're like, okay. So that's not what you want, of course. Yeah.
I had a show one time, and it was very, very late at night or early in the morning, and and everyone sat there like a potato. But a friend of mine told me a really good tip. Her name is Denise Hall, and we've been friends for. You may know Denise. We've been friends for maybe 12, 13 years, and so once I've got them in trance, I say to the audience. Of course, the committee is listening to this behind me. I say to the audience, many people believe that hypnotized people act like zombies, but that's not true either. They will be very active. As a matter of fact, we often see very amazing comedic performances that would rival a physical comedian like a Robin Williams or a Jim Carrey. And so they will be really active. So I'm telling the audience this, but really this information is for the committee. And that did it, and now I don't have potatoes anymore.
Okay, that's a good tip.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, of course. The talking to the audience, the people, they have their eyes closed, so the suggestions are going for them as well, because they don't see that you're addressing the audience, of course. So whatever you're saying, they will get it, especially when hypnotized. So yeah, that's a good idea. Just informing the audience and then planting a suggestion inside of your committee members. That's a good one.
So thank you, Denise.
Yeah. So yeah, Denise has a lot of experience as a stage hypnotist. So that's something that I find really interesting at the hypnosis community, and that's of course why I start doing these interviews. We can all learn from each other, and I think the hypnosis world is a sharing community. A lot of people are sharing their ideas or things that they experienced. And what I also find really interesting is that the longer we are in the business, sometimes we just change our mind on something. As you said before, you change your mind on or your view on the Esdale state or on regression. And I think that's how long that you are in the business, you still can change your mind or do something else, get better results with a new approach. And I think that's something that it's really, really interesting. Yeah, that's one of the things that I'm changing my mind in more and more is for some, you already mentioned it in the simple question round, that for some issues it's better to have a multi-session plan than just go for the one session always. Because when I started, it was together with some colleagues in the Netherlands, and we marketed really on the one session fix. But some issues just need more. So I'm creating programs for golf players now, because I'm really into golf now, and I think it's better that you see them multiple times, because they have more than one thing to fix, or sometimes it's better that you get some feedback and you can fix something. And like weight loss, the issue that you mentioned in the simple question round, it's also something that that's sometimes you need more to see your client more than once. And what I experienced with my clients in Belgium is that most of the people, first, they expect that they have to come more than once, and they want to see you more than once, because they just want to have that connection with you. And that's something that I'm changing in a bit now. And the other,
it's funny. I used to do as you did. I used to do one session, and I had people almost beg me, "Hey, can we do one more session?" No, you're good. You're good.
They just want it, and they are happy to pay you for the extra session, because they just want to. And sometimes we ran some tests with the new hypnotherapists that were starting in my team, and I told them, okay, because their schedules are not that full at the moment. When the moment they start, of course, they don't have a full schedule. So for them, it was not a problem to give this a try. So I told them, just do the one session, and then you say to the client, okay, we will book another session in 2 weeks. If you don't need it, just cancel it. And a lot of because their schedule is not full, then it's not a problem for them that they have canceled sessions. So because when you're a full-time book hypnotherapist, and then you have a lot of sessions canceled, then you have like open blocks in a day. That's not good, of course. Then just sitting there. But for them, it was a good experience, and a lot of clients were really happy that they can have that second session. And sometimes of course they just cancel because the problem was already solved, and sometimes they didn't cancel and they just came to say that the problem was solved. So then they say, maybe you can do another session just to reinforce it and things. So people are really, but now we gave them actually like a choice, and then so that was an experience that we did. So what I want to talk about some more is the depth of trance, and you mentioned something that I experienced also a lot, and I found it really interesting when I was developing my breast enlargement protocol. I read some scientific papers that were published in the 70s, and one of the papers also mentioned the depth of hypnosis, and even for something like breast enlargement, what is quite a big change at the woman's body, they already in the 70s they wrote already in one of those reports that the depth of hypnosis was not correlating with the results. So there were a lot of women not going to really deep hypnosis, but had better results than the ones going really deep into hypnosis. So that is something that So but I understand why you say, okay, why don't go as deep as possible and then go on with whatever change work we want to do. But I think it's not the depth of hypnosis that is going to give us the best result. I think the mindset of the hypnotist first, but of course the will to change of the client is the most important thing. I think I once had this guy who came to my office for a stop smoking session, and the entire session he was thinking, I heard the story later from his sister, he was thinking, what a lot of crap is that, and what a lot of BS is that. I'm never going to be a non-smoker. He left my office. He went out to have some drinks with friends, and after like 3 hours, his friends asked him, hey, you never went out to have a cigarette? And he just replied on a subconscious level, he replied, oh no, I'm a non-smoker. And then he realized, whoa, that BS is actually working. So he was not, and he did my 7-day training later. He never used the hypnosis techniques that I learned him, but he was interested, and he's still saying, I never had the feeling that I was hypnotized, but I know it's working for me. So that's quite some contradiction that he's saying, but I think that's when you do the getting people into that deep trance, what are you actually testing it, or are you you just go on with the flow and see what is happening, or are you doing really tests to see at what depth that they are?
In a way, I am. Yes. The recent run of experiments, what I've been doing because of COVID-19 is I've been doing it via Zoom with my volunteers. And so I schedule an hour with them, and then I will explain hypnosis to them, do my pre-brief, hypnotize them, deepen them, and then I'll start going through the tests. I use the Aaron scale generally. So Aaron's 1 is if you can get eye lock. Aaron's 2, catalepsy of a group of larger muscles. Aaron's 3, I'll usually stick them to something. Aaron's 4, I will take away their name or a number. Aaron's 5, I'll do a positive hallucination with them. And Aaron's 6, I will do a negative hallucination. I will disappear. And so yes, so I test them that way. And then I'll do, because this is also, I use this for my YouTube channel. And so it's fun stuff, but then also it's, hypnosis experimental stuff. So yeah, so that's this recent run of experiments. That's the way it has gone. And so Ellman, 10 down to 1, Esdale deepener, and then start going through the Aaron scale.
Aaron scale, yeah. But would you do that in a therapy setting as well? When you're actually working with a client, would you go through all those tests as well?
No, but with every client, I will test them for Aaron's 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, that one guy said, "Well, I still didn't feel like I was hypnotized, but the therapy worked." But I like my clients to know that they were hypnotized. So what I'll do is, right at the end of the session, I'll test them for Aaron's 1, eye lock, Aaron's 2, arms stiff and rigid, and Aaron's 3, I'll stick their hand to the arm of the chair. And then I'll ask them, so you're stuck to the chair. This is kind of unusual. Do you think maybe you're hypnotized? Yeah, I think maybe I'm hypnotized. Okay, good. Close your eyes. Because I just think that the therapy can work a lot better if the person knows something different happened.
Yeah, of course. I think it's really important to give your clients an experience, that they experience something that it's not normal, it's not usual. So I had a Zoom session a few weeks ago with somebody, and he was even, I had a talk with him before he booked the session, and then he was like, yeah, but are you sure you are going to get me hypnotized and things like that. And so I did a full session with him, and I did a swan. I installed the swan. He had a very good movement. His hand was really turning, saying yes to me, whatever. And after the session, the first thing that he said was, do you really think I was gone? That's how we say it in our language. I was gone. I said, no, you were not gone. You were here. But and he said, yeah, but was I really hypnotized? And I said, is it normal that your hand is doing stuff that you are not doing? And he said, oh no, yeah, you're right. Normally my hand is not talking to me or not doing stuff. So yeah, it's good that you can refer to something that is out of the usual things. So yeah, having them stuck or their hand moving or like an arm levitation, whatever. But that you give them some experience that because I know when people hypnotized me in the beginning, I never had that feeling that I was hypnotized. So only when somebody could let me do stuff that I really felt that I was not doing it, or once there was one guy who was able to have me forget my name. So for me, it was like, whoa, something is really happening here. Because I think that that's really important to give them that experience.
Yeah, and I mean, I think they expect us. I think they expect a little bit of the magic, and we can do that. Otherwise, we're just talk therapists. It's like going to see a psychologist or a counselor, and they sit there and they talk to you, and that's useful, but that's not what we do. We give them a little something extra.
Yeah, I remember a few clients that I had from the medical world, like psychologists or GPs that came to my office, and especially those type of people, when you do something out of the ordinary, like a convincer, they were like, whoa, what's, because then you see their 7-year study making all those different, those wires are just getting overheated in there. They said, whoa, they studied for like 7 years, and now there's somebody talking to their subconscious mind, and their body is doing stuff that they or their mind is doing stuff that they don't expect. So that's really that give that. Yeah. So first when I start doing this, you see them, you see on their mind, and you see them thinking, oh, I made a bad choice. I made a bad choice coming to this guy. And then like 1 minute later, the hand or whatever, or the arm is doing something, or they're stuck to something, and then they say, well, whoa, this is special. And then of course you can get them more to the result that you want, because now they are more convinced about that. Yes. Something is going to happen here. And I think that's really important, because yes, as you say, if we don't do stuff like that, they just can go to a psychologist or a talk therapist or whatever. So I think it's really important to give them that experience. So Sean, any other advice that you want to give to our viewers about the deep trance, or whatever you want to share?
Yeah, I got an idea from Ron Esslinger years ago, and I've been trying it out again with my sessions, and I kind of like it. And it's sort of a stage hypnosis thing, you know, the way we fractionate the committee, bring them out and put them back in, and bring them out and put them back in, and they tend to go deeper as you fractionate them down. And so I'm not convinced where Depth of Trance fits as far as how good it is, but what I've been doing is I'll give them the suggestions, and then I'll bring them out, or I'll give them another deepener, and then I give them the same suggestions, and I bring them up and then put them back in. And so actually I wind up hypnotizing and deepening these people maybe 5 times during the hour-long session. Mm-hmm. And so they receive suggestions at all different levels of hypnosis, which I can't tell you how effective it is right now, but I like the idea, and I'll have to see how it works out. But yeah, I think to give them the suggestions at different levels of trance, I think it seems like it might be a good thing, but I don't know.
It sounds good. It sounds good, because as we already discussed, sometimes people are maybe too deep to just receive the suggestions, or maybe when you give them, it's like when you change some suggestions and then you compound them, and you give them another way of saying it, but now you're also changing the depth of trance. So maybe that will just stick on maybe that will stick the suggestion better.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping.
I think it's an interesting way of thinking. Yeah. So keep us posted on the results that you have with that. So maybe that's a good way to inform people how they can, because you also already mentioned your YouTube channel. So I guess that you're probably going to, when you have results like that, you post a video about it, or so what are the best ways for people to follow you or to contact you? Or
okay, the best way to follow me is probably by going to my website, worldsfastesthypnotist.com, and signing up for the newsletter, because that goes out every week. I missed last week, but it goes out almost every week, and each week I have an instructional video on it. And of course, it's free. Or they could check out my YouTube channel. Just search for Sean Michael Andrews, and you'll find the YouTube channel. Or they can find me on Facebook. There's a group called World's Fastest Hypnotist. And so I go on there and I do live videos and answer questions and teach on there. So I guess that's the best way to get in touch with me.
Okay, I will put those links in the show notes, so people can find you and yeah, sign up for the newsletter. That then they get all the information about whatever research you're doing, whatever tests you're doing, changes that you're making. So yeah, that's always a good way to keep up to date with whatever you're doing. So, Sean, thank you very much for being my guest in the Art of Simple Hypnosis. I hope to see you somewhere in the world real soon. But yeah, for now we have to do it with this online things. It's a good thing that the technology these days is so up to date that we can do these things, that we just can keep working. Like you're saying, you can still do your experience on Zoom. We can do interviews, we can have chats, we can do virtual conferences. So that's a good thing, that for us the world is not totally down, that we are still are able to run our profession. So that's a good thing. So, but yeah, of course, seeing each other personal, in person, live somewhere at a convention is always better. And next time when I see you, we'll have a drink at whatever bar in the world that we will meet up.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you very much.
And give my best to Daniela.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.